All right. Hey, man, feels good to be here. I do apologize for starting so extremely late. Uh, obviously, my wife is now sleeping because she has to work tomorrow, and I'm up with my 4-month-old daughter. Hopefully, she stays calm during the show. I'll try to keep it. I'll try to make it as quick as possible to get my point across before she loses it because she doesn't have any patience for any of this stuff. You cool? Okay. So far, so good. Oh man. So listen, really appreciate everybody stopping out tonight. I know it's late. Digital Foundry said some stuff today that I just had to talk about. Hopefully you guys are hearing this. The mic is brand new. I'm hoping that everything is going through nice and clear. Going to go ahead and give this show a like so it can go ahead and get out to the fans out there who want to listen to tonight's Super Podshots. Like I said, been a bit busy as of late. Just doing a whole lot of things for Tick Podcasts and stuff like that. Really, really appreciate that, guys. For Allow JW, really appreciate it. You're gonna be cool, right? All right, okay. So, let's try to jump into the show. I'm not sure what the stream is like. I'm hoping that it's clear enough that everybody can see, and I'm not stuttering too much, and the show goes by pretty quickly without a hinge. All right. So let's jump in. Let's begin the show. All right, here we go, guys. Hey, Explanation, now rocking with your boy KORXKL, the last son of Planet Xbox, and you're listening to Super Podshots. So Digital Foundry came out today, man. They had an opportunity to talk about some things that came across their desk. The problem that I have with what was spoken about, which is something that Digital Foundry is known for, is that they kind of always talk about a lot of speculation. And what a lot of people don't understand about today's topic, which has to do with Xbox Scorpio, is that everyone is taking what they said at face value when they shouldn't. And there's a couple of reasons why they shouldn't. And there's a couple of reasons why Digital Foundry is actually false. And the reason why they're false is because they're not following exactly what's happening with Microsoft and the narrative that they've been pushing with Xbox to the Xbox community. Because if they were, none of the things they said speculation-wise would have ever came across. But of course, this is based on old news, which is something that people tend not to even bring up or discuss, as if the console comes out tomorrow. So, in a nutshell, Digital Foundry was able to find the white paper, as they would say, which is basically kind of like a small stat sheet of what the Xbox One is going to, or the Xbox One Scorpio is supposed to be like, or initially was supposed to be like. And the funny thing about that is that even though it was supposed to be that way, in 2017, it's not the same console. I've already spoken to somebody that I know who knows it's not the same console. So whatever they spoke of in 2016 after E3, which is what the white papers referred to, is not the same console. What Digital Foundry happened to go over today that kind of had a lot of Xbox fans kind of wondering what's going on, and PlayStation fans, or shall I say not all PlayStation fans, but the hardcore PlayStation fans, seemingly enjoy that the Xbox One Scorpio isn't the machine that Microsoft has hyped it up to be, is the whole thing about checkerboard rendering. And one of the things that people didn't get, and one of the things that I said when I was on Twitter that people weren't comprehending, was the way they talked about it and the way it was structured through Microsoft. And it wasn't that Microsoft was denying that 4K wasn't upscalable on the console. Keep in mind one thing. Microsoft in any instance has never said that every game on Xbox One will be 4K. That's not what they've ever said. They've never said that, not one time. What they did state was that they were going to make sure that every exclusive that comes out around the time of Scorpio's launch on the Xbox One would be native 4K. UWP allows that. If a game runs on 4K on PC right now and is an exclusive to Xbox, or it's on the PC like a Resident Evil or an advanced Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, those games will be 4K, 60 frames per second, or whatever it is on the PC. Those will be the same stats that you would get on the Xbox Scorpio. Now, what a lot of people missed in that statement was that what Microsoft stated was that you have options. Developers have options. Every developer is not going to shoot for 4K. They have the ability to do that. However, they also have the ability to go checkerboard or sparse scaling, which is similar to checkerboard for Xbox. And while doing so, it allows you to increase the lighting, the effects, and the shadows of Scorpio, all while upscaling to 4K. What people aren't noticing is that they never spoke once about 1080p or 1440p, only that you can upscale with these bonus effects in 4K, and that you can actually get games in native 4K. It wasn't that they couldn't hit 4K, is that they gave you an option. The option was native 4K at the fidelity that we have games out today, which is something that Albert Pinello spoke about, or 4K upscaling from the developer who chooses to either go 4K or add the bonus particle effects, shadow, global illumination, things like that, and upscale to 4K. That was basically the two differences between them. It's not that the console couldn't hit it. It's just that the console has the option for developers to choose what they want. On top of that, one of the things that they brought up was that they felt that the Xbox Scorpio was going to have a Jaguar CPU. And in this instance, they are absolutely and utterly wrong. And I'll tell you why. You guys can look it up as well. During a small conversation with Phil Spencer on Twitter, someone asked him about the architecture of Scorpio. And one of the things he said, without giving anything away, was that Scorpio would have the latest AMD technology. There is nothing latest about Jaguar. Nothing latest about it at all. So it just goes to show you that they don't know what they're talking about. Now, again, they're basing this off of what paper they got after E3 2016. We are now going into February of 2017 for a console that comes out in the holiday season of 2017. That's almost a year and a half later. A lot can change in a year and a half, and a lot has changed in a year and a half. In every instance, Microsoft has said what Scorpio is going to be. I think people, or a lot of the PlayStation fans, felt that the console was going to be the start of next generation. It was going to be some type of new generation of console. And at every turn, Microsoft said it's not. They never said it was a next-gen console. They've always said it's an Xbox One. It's a part of the Xbox One family, and it's a mid-generation upgrade. It's allowed to play games at 4K native, 4K upscaled. Also, it also is allowed to play VR games, and they're trying to shoot for most games to be 4K 60 frames per second. If you don't believe what I'm saying right now, please go down to Tick Podcast interviews and listen to our interview with Albert Pinello. Everything that's stated is in that show for 4K 60 frames per second, uncompromised, with Albert Pinello. Now, I never liked the statement that Microsoft talked about true 4K gaming. I never liked that statement, because to me, and I know a lot of Xbox fans was like, why? You know, Sony can do it. Sony can say 4K this, yeah. Listen, in my opinion, Microsoft has a terrible reputation with honesty and a terrible reputation with going back on things that they say. So for me, it's really important that they don't say things like true 4K gaming when you have a console that can still do true 4K gaming in the PS4 Pro. Now, it may not be on the level of Scorpio. It may not have the same amount of games. The VR fidelity may not be on the fidelity of a Vive or a Rift when that hits Scorpio. But to sit up here and say that it's not a 4K capable machine is kind of dumbfounding. So Saying true 4K gaming as if that wasn't true to me is something that was easily able to backfire on anybody who may have been waiting for Microsoft to fall flat on their face. And to me, with this Digital Foundry news, this is the perfect opportunity to pounce on that. However, there's nothing to pounce on. Everything Digital Foundry stated was speculation. And that's the problem. And this is where everything gets messed up. I've seen so many people come out today with all types of podcasts about Scorpio specs leaked, GPU leaked, CPU. None of that stuff was leaked. Like none of it was leaked. None of it. In any of the news, there is nothing that states what Scorpio's GPU or CPU is going to be, other than what we already know. 12 gigs of RAM, 320 throughput on the CPU, 6 teraflops of power. That's basically what we know. That's it. And it's the same thing to this day. Nothing's changed. And even at the end of that Digital Foundry article, they even stated themselves that this is all speculation. They're only speculating on what they read from E3 2016's white paper on Scorpio. So it's just funny suddenly how everybody's running with this. And that's just what they do. It's the same thing that people always do. Recently, Kingdom Hearts got taken off of. Now, I got a chance to speak with Anchorman today about some things and stuff like that. And one of the things we spoke about was how Kingdom Hearts got taken off of the Square Enix website. And boy, oh boy, did everybody and their mama go crazy over the fact that Xbox was no longer on Square Enix's website for Kingdom Hearts 3. So the number one speculation was that Kingdom Hearts 3 was not coming to Xbox One. They're not going to release it on the Xbox One. And it was officially exclusive to the PlayStation 4. And people ran with this. They ran with it so hard. It was out of control. And Square eventually came out, said that it was just a graphical error on their website. They fixed it. The game is still coming to Xbox One. And everyone who wanted it not to, because of the fake console war, feels stupid. And this is what I'm talking about. No one's looking at the truth. No one's actually looking at the facts. They're only looking at what they want to be true so it can be a point for their agenda. I'm not an Xbox D-Force guy. I'm not. You already know who I am. You guys listen to Tick Podcast. You know exactly what I talk about. You know exactly when I get on Microsoft for the things that I don't like. I have no problem going in on Microsoft on anything that I feel personally that's a negative for them, because I'm always about positivity in gaming and always positive about Xbox and hoping that they are successful in whatever they do, because that's the brand I like. At the same time, what happened today is just something that shouldn't happen, because once you start speculating and you start making assumptions and everyone else starts speculating and making assumptions, it makes everyone else look bad. When they start coming out with these articles and start coming out with these podcasts about how the console is this or the console is that, or the console is just a PS4 1.5. In no instance have Microsoft ever come out and said that. One of the things Microsoft actually did say was that you would actually see a significant difference between the consoles. So it really just comes down to listening to what Microsoft is saying now, listening to what the executives have come out and spoken about now, and remembering some of the things that Phil Spencer talked about, because he is the guy this console is being made for. This is the Phil Spencer console. And whatever Digital Foundry is talking about is based on a piece of paper that came out in 2016 after the E3 event that they've just gotten their hands on today. Just think about that. Just today, they've gotten their hands on it. So it really says a lot about, what they're trying to do and what their agenda is. I've never been a fan of Digital Foundry, not because they don't tell the truth on what it is gaming wise and what makes it great, or shall I say, which game runs best. I'm not saying that. What they do, if people want to know, that's perfectly fine. They can do that. However, The issue lies in that it winds up splitting the base, and you kind of gravitate towards one side, no matter whether it's Xbox on 360 or PlayStation on PS4. At the end of the day, what you wind up doing is kind of putting another game down for slight issues, when in all actuality, the games really are pretty much not much difference between the two. And that's just the God honest truth. Most PC gamers would know because they deal in resolution on a regular basis and they deal in frames per second on a regular basis. But most console gamers, you won't notice it. You just won't. That's just the reality of it. And it's happened a million times. I don't know how many times we've seen fans, you've put pictures side by side and people choose the wrong console. And that's just how it is. So again, I don't want people to jump the gun on Digital Foundry. I really don't. And I'm disappointed that I've seen so many podcasts out here today talk about, the GPU and the CPU specs leaked on Scorpio when it didn't. It never did. It never did. It never did. And that's disappointing because if you start saying things or you start trying to make things factual, then people believe it, especially if you have a larger install base. If you have a larger group of people, that look to you for information and news, and you're not doing right by them by giving them the right information and news, then you're doing your podcast and you're doing yourself a disservice. So I really hope that a lot of people didn't take what Digital Foundry said as actual fact, but just an assumption, and looked at some of the things that they said and how Microsoft were going to do things. Because to me, it's really important to really read what Microsoft is saying when it came to the console. Being able to get games upscaled to 4K, whether it's sparse rendering or checkerboard, having all of the effects in 1080p, stating that the game would actually look either better than 4K or on par with it, plus the effects would look better. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I've never been one to put down checkerboard rendering, only that I believe that the console will be able to do more just based on the specs alone. I don't know why people feel like it won't, but there is a significant difference between PS4 Pro and Xbox Scorpio. There really is. People look at the teraflops and say, well, the processing power is only, X amount of points apart. But no one ever thinks about how fast that CPU is. Those 4 extra gigs of RAM, for the console itself. We have no idea what type of CPU is going to be, but it's not going to be a Jaguar CPU. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's going to be, a Zen. I'm not going to say that. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know that it's not going to be a Jaguar. And then at the same time, I don't know what the GPU is going to be. Now, the one thing that it did state was that it's a possibility it may be a Polaris chipset. And to me, that makes sense because I don't see how you could put both a Vega and a Zen GPU, CPU in that console and keep it under 600 or 500, which I think the console is going to be $499. So I don't see how that can happen. But having the latest tech, you can put in, something that's a little bit, the Polaris, which is the latest tech. That makes sense. Jaguar is not the latest tech because it's not the latest tech because it's already in the Xbox One console. So what are you putting in CPU wise? That's not Jaguar. And that's the question they should be asking instead of speculating on the white papers. So, listen, that's just the reality of it is, that's just the reality of it is. I know a lot of people are running with it and they're getting upset and stuff like that. But again, I can't stress enough to you, nothing that Digital Foundry said was actual fact. It was all speculation. Everything that they tried to build the Xbox Scorpio with was all speculation. The only thing Microsoft ever talked about through that whole thing was the way developers can get to 4K. That's what that whole thing was about. How can developers get to 4K? You had 2 options. You can go full 4K native, or you can do the sparse rendering with the 1080p effects. Those were the 2 biggest significant things out of that whole article. No one looked at that. Not one person looked at that. The only thing they saw was checkerboard rendering, that it would do the same thing as PS4 in Jaguar CPU, and that it wouldn't make sense to have a Zen or a Vega. It's like, what? That never even came from Microsoft. They don't even have the console. Like, no one even has the console to make any assumptions on anything until the console releases. And it's just disappointing that that happened the way it did. It's just funny. It really is. And it's really important. And I spoke with my team today about this. I to this day, I just feel it's super important. Microsoft is as transparent as possible when it comes to this console. They absolutely have to be transparent as possible. I don't see how they can go 6 months and not talk about some new games or Scorpio, or show off the games that they already have. In my opinion, they have to be able to do that. If they're not able to do that, I'm not sure it will help them in the long run. They really need to be able to be transparent about the console, talk about the console as early as possible. Get it out the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, get it out the way. Just, if I was them, come April, I'm doing a show. I'm showing off Scorpio. I'm getting people ready for E3 and what they're going to see with our new games that we got set up for 2017 and 2018. That's what I'm doing. I'm showing off what we have right now on Scorpio with, Forza, which, supposedly was one of the games. They said one of the games that's already in 4K running. And that makes sense because Forza is such an easy game to do in 4K. And then if they have anything for Crackdown, I would like to see Crackdown as well. And the whole show could be based around the console, kind of like they did with the original Xbox One. But just don't talk about anything other than games. Don't do any TV stuff. Don't do any feature stuff. You want to talk about features and stuff like that, you could do a small section at E3 or do something afterwards where people can have a point-for-point type thing. And they're able to get the information they need on Scorpio so they know. But focus on the console, the power. Focus on the graphics, focus on the resolution, focus on the things that people want to know about the console that has them interested in the console. But it needs to be done. It needs to be transparent. They can't be like Nintendo. You can't come out and show this console and get people interested, then all of a sudden you're not really being transparent. You don't know what Nintendo's doing when it comes to their online. You don't know, how many freaking accessories you need. You need to get this Joy-Con. You need to buy a rechargeable Joy-Con. You need to get a Pro controller. Like, there's just too many things happening. It only comes with 32 gigabytes of RAM. You can upgrade up to 2 terabytes of RAM. Memory, hard drive memory. It's like, that's all this information is after. All of this could have been said during the show. And maybe it wouldn't have made for a better show, but it would have been transparent. And people would have been able to make that assessment and kept their reality in check during that show. And maybe the hype levels wouldn't have been so high. So I think it's important for Microsoft to be as transparent as possible. If they're saying that their console is true native 4K, then every game needs to be 4K. It really does. And this is my God honest opinion. No game on Xbox should be 1080p on a Scorpio. Not one game. And I know some people debated me about it and said that it makes sense. Go 1080p, go full ultra textures and stuff like that. I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I think Microsoft, if that's going to be their 4K premium device, that's what it needs to be. And if you want a 1080p machine, you get the Xbox One S. That's what you get. There are the majority of games, at least 80% of the games on Xbox One S are 1080p. And that's just the God honest truth. A lot of games are 1080p. A lot of games is 900p, and a few games is 720 or 792. In each instance, if you have a 4K TV, they all upscale the 4K. And the console looks great. It looks amazing. On screen, the games look amazing on screen. It really does. And it has HDR. So if you want 1080, you can always get the Slim. But in my opinion, the 4K, it has to be 4K all across the board. Whether you're doing checkerboard rendering to 4K or you're doing native 4K, that console needs to be 4K 100% of the time. Absolutely. And that's just the reality of it. And Microsoft needs to be able to pitch that. And they need to talk about that and focus on that. They really do. Because if they don't, I just feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot with a lot of the talk that they had early on. So I think it's really important that they focus on that as well, honestly. So again, if you don't believe me, man, go back, read the Digital Foundry interview. I mean, not the interview, the Digital Foundry conversation that was put out today. Look at how they talk about the white papers. They never. And what's crazy about that is you never really find out about what they have until the end, where they say like the papers are from E3 2016. If you don't get to the end of that article, you have no idea that this is almost a year old. Like it's almost, this news is like almost, this is 6 months old. So it's pretty crazy, you know, what they are talking about and how they're speculating things. People are taking it as factual. It's not good. It really isn't, in my opinion. And you know, it's pretty crazy. But anyway, moving on. And I will definitely do a Q&A in a few. Give me 1 second, guys. Apologies. So Sea of Thieves, man, I'm seeing a lot of great information on it. I'm hearing a lot of people having a great time with the game. Some people are in alpha. You know, look, man, the game looks extremely fun. It looks like a true team game. Really needs to be something that they focus on, the exploration of the game, the magic of the game, and stuff like that. What I'm not liking is people trying to compare it to No Man's Sky because they don't know what the game is. The one thing that I can say about let me not say No Man's Sky. The one thing I can say about Sea of Thieves is that, first of all, the game is completely co-op, so you're never going to play alone. You battle other people. That alone already makes it, you know, not a No Man's Sky type title where you don't know what you're going into and everything you expect is not what you expect. They've put out 9 documentaries on this thing or more already on what they've done with the game, how you get treasure, how you can hide it, how you can battle other ships and board ships and kill people, and how you die. Like, all these things are out there. So I'm not understanding the rhetoric of is, you know, Sea of Thieves another No Man's Sky. I think people who were disappointed in No Man's Sky wants Sea of Thieves to fail, and they want to refer it to it being another No Man's Sky. And to me, that's not right. I don't think No Man's Sky, and I did a great interview, and I'm going to post this interview probably this weekend. Ooh, that's not good, baby. All right. So they did a great weekend. They did a great, I did a great interview with Jordy Nelson, the creators of Moon Studios. And in that conversation, he said something to me that kind of caught me by surprise. We got a chance to talk about developers. And we were talking about developers and saying how, you know, because one of the things I spoke about was that a lot of people don't understand how difficult a job it is to be a developer. You know, how it takes away from the family, how many hours you work, how it could be very stressful and things like that. And when a game goes bad, the developers are the ones that get the bad rap. And he spoke about how he spent 6 months in the Netherlands, I believe it is, and 6 months in New York. And it's very difficult or 6 weeks. I'm sorry, 6 weeks in the Netherlands, 6 weeks in New York. And he does that he goes back and forth. But one of the things that caught me by surprise when we was having a conversation was like how he brought up the No Man's Sky situation with Sony and the way Sony sort of abandoned them after giving them all this promotion. And one of the key things he said in that was that they didn't even give them any money. They didn't give them any money for the game. Like they didn't give them any money to produce the game. They just marketed the game. And then once everything flopped, they backed away, which is why the game wound up turning out the way it did. And it's crazy that he said that because I was really caught off guard by that. I really thought Sony not only marketed the game, but had some type of publishing funding behind it because they were exclusive to the platform. So being that they were exclusive to the platform, I expected something, but I have this guy telling me that that's not the case. And I'm pretty sure he would know as an indie developer and as someone who works for the business side. So it's just fun. It's just crazy that happened to happen. But when I look at Sea of Thieves, I think people tend to forget that Sea of Thieves is not No Man's Sky because Sea of Thieves is not an indie. It's an actual AAA title from Rare coming out of Microsoft Studios. And yeah, the game is similar to Fable in that it's in alpha right now and a lot of people are beta testing it. But I just don't see this game failing. I think this game is way farther along than most people think. I like all of the things that I've seen, the customizations. You could be any type of pirate you want. They're not limiting you to a certain class. There's just a lot of things with the game that people should be looking forward to and that they can expect. You can actually have your own individual ship in the game. You don't need a crew. Now, whether you battle somebody on that ship is not something that I would say could happen, just for the simple fact that it's a strong possibility that you'll probably get destroyed by a battleship or a cruiser or something like that. But if you want to just go at it alone, you can. You have that option to. A lot of people think that this is some type of MMO type game. And one of the things that Duncan. His name's on the tip of my tongue. It's Craig. There you go. One of the things that myself and Craig Duncan happen to talk about, which I will show you this week as well. I got a ton of stuff to upload on the Tick Experience, which really wasn't that great compared to last year, but I'm gonna post up there for the fans anyway. You guys can look around, see what E3 was like. I had a few conversations with some people here and there, but the biggest one was with Craig Duncan, and we got to talking about Sea of Thieves. And Sea of Thieves is not an MMO. It's just it's a hybrid sort of like online game. If you think of Ark in a way, you may be on these servers, and when you're on these servers, there are other people that you will encounter on the, and things like that. And, I think that they're going in the right direction with it. I look at games like that and how big they've become and how you can explore these different areas and all these maps and find all this hidden treasure. You can rob people and stuff like that. And when you kill people, they get shipped to like a ghost ship and you have to wait for a mermaid to bring you back. It's really cool, man. It's just a really cool game. I think a lot of people are underestimating what Microsoft is doing with Sea of Thieves because of the disappointment of Scalebound, which I really should talk about Scalebound. Okay, so with Scalebound, one of the things that happened with Scalebound was that, Microsoft had been working with them since 2011. They got a chance to talk with them in 2010 during the 360 era and And, this was the game that, Hideki Kamiya had been wanting to do for a very long time since he was a very young developer in the industry. And what wound up happening is they started beginning the game about 2011. They've been working on the game from 2011, 2012, all the way to 2016. And according to one of my sources, as well as another media person that I know, we both confirmed this together, was that one of the reasons that Microsoft pulled out, besides delays, was that there were some financial things that happened. I don't want to just say this out right. There were some financial things that happened that shouldn't have happened. Money that should have went to Scalebound was not going to Scalebound. And this is one of the reasons why Microsoft wound up pulling out. This is one of the reasons why the game was taking so long. The studio was very small. They were stretched very thin. You think about all the projects that they worked on between 2012 or 2011 to 2016. You've had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You had the Bayonetta games. You had, trying to think off the top of my head, they're working on Nier. They're working on, what was the other game? They had like the Metal Gear Solid with Raiden Rising or whatever it is. Like all of these games during the production of Scalebound. And the studio was not overly big, but they kept taking on all these projects. Now think about this. Think about this for 1 second. After the cancellation of Scalebound, they announced 2 other games that will be coming out. 2 other games that they were already working on. 2 other games. Now, one of the reasons why we didn't report this was because what would have happened had we did during the time, it would have been huge. It would have been extremely huge, but then we would have been questioned to give up our source. We didn't want to give up the source because then the source would have been fired, and that's not a good look for us, and it's not a good look for the person that we know. And we wouldn't be able to use that person as a source in the future. So we decided not to release that information. However, there are people out there that I've spoken to and shown them the images that I have from the conversations that I have that confirmed everything that I'm telling you right now. So when I say that Microsoft isn't the only person to blame in this, I'm not lying. Now, I know a lot of people are fans of Platinum, and I get that. I know a lot of people are fans of Platinum, but there was a lot of shady stuff happening. There was a lot of stuff happening with Platinum, and a lot of people didn't do what they were supposed to do. If you notice in that whole situation, knowing how Kamaya is, not once did he ever go crazy or go ham on Microsoft for pulling the plug. It just didn't. What he said was that he was sorry. He apologized that, he kind of failed the fans. Who does? If someone if someone pulls a rug from under you because they didn't give you enough time, or they did something that hindered your development and it's their fault, Kamaya is a no holds bar type of person. He blocks everybody. He cursed Microsoft out in 2015 for bringing him on stage at Gamescom. You think he won't go crazy just because they had a falling out with Scalebound if Microsoft was at fault? Never happened because they were the blame. Platinum took the L. There was a lot of things happening there that was their fault. And it's unfortunate that it happened that way, and it's partially Microsoft's fault for forcing them to do the co-op aspect, which in my opinion was a disaster in itself. First of all, I don't even like the idea that Scalebound would have had 4-player co-op. You're talking about 4 big giant dragons on screen plus 4 human AIs on screen, all at the same time through the whole game. You think about how that game looked, and I love that game. I am not down in the game whatsoever. I just expected it to get better over time. You think about how that game looked when they had 1 dragon and 1 person on screen. Imagine adding 3. Have you ever looked at the size of Thubane, the actual dragon? Imagine 3 of those on screen at the same time, firing all types of fireballs and particle effects, trying to fight giant creatures on some God of War stuff. Just think about that. Think about that. That task was impossible. It was at the graphic fidelity that they had Scalebound. That task was impossible. I don't know what Microsoft was thinking in that regard. But I don't think the Xbox One would have been able to handle it the more I think about it. And I really, really wish that it was just a regular single player game. But because partially that and partially a few other things, they were struggling with the engine. They were struggling with the development of the game, missing deadlines. There was a lot of deadlines that was missed over the years. That's why the game kept getting pushed back. A lot of things happened. And in the end, Microsoft decided that there was no way they were going to recoup that money. All the money they invested into this game, think about it. It's a Japanese title. And we all know Japanese games don't sell extraordinarily well on the Xbox. Though as an action game, it probably would have done well. And that's the reason why they want to put the co-op in, because it would have gave people a sense of being able to play with their friends and allow them to buy the game so they can play it. And it would have sold that way. But without that element, it becomes a single player experience in a Japanese setting, a Japanese type title, Japanese action RPG. So even though it was a lot westernized, most people didn't like the main character, the hair, the dub, the electronic, whatever type of music they were playing. But overall, that game had that Western appeal. So without the co-op, it wound up becoming a game that now you question, how many copies can we sell? And I can tell you right now, all the people out there that's crying about Scalebound and how that was bull. That was bull. Absolutely. No one ever talked about Scalebound. Like, seriously. I can count, before Scalebound got canceled, let's seriously think about it. Before Scalebound got canceled, bro, I couldn't tell you how many people I knew that did not care about Scalebound. They just didn't. And to sit up here all of a sudden and have millions and all these hundreds of people talking as if Scalebound was the game that was going to, sell them or get them the console or whatever, stuff like that. It just was fake. It was fake. So, at the end of the day, it didn't work out between Microsoft and Platinum. Microsoft still owns the IP. They own the rights to the game. Unfortunately, Platinum owns the assets. So if they were to come out with a new Scalebound game, they would either have to rework a deal with Platinum to get the game started again and do it, or what would happen is they could either sell the IP to Platinum and let Platinum make the game multi-platform, or they can do sort of what Prey has done. They took the name Prey, and it's not the same Prey that we all know. It's not Prey from the original 360. It's not Prey 2 from what we saw as a bounty hunter chasing down aliens. It's a completely different game with the same title. And that's what they could do. They could make a brand new game with the same title. I don't know what they would do or how they would do it, but that would be the only possible way for them to do it, because the assets and that character and all that stuff like that belong to Kamiya. Now, Kamiya could take those assets and make an entirely new game with it. Not particularly the dragon or the look of the main character, but he could use the environments or the worlds, or at least the initial build of characters, change them around, make them look different to build another game. And that's how that works. So, back to Sea of Thieves. After that quick thing with after the quick thing with Scalebound. But yeah, man, don't underestimate Sea of Thieves. I think Sea of Thieves is on the right track. I think a lot of people will be disappointed if they don't decide to get Sea of Thieves. It'll be one thing that I think a lot of fans may be hurting themselves just because of what a few websites are saying. The game looked like it's going to be very, very fun, very exciting, a great change of pace game to explore. A lot of people talking about how Xbox doesn't have any games. There's no game on any platform like Sea of Thieves. Not one. It's the most unique title damn near on any platform. You may find it boring. It may not look good to you. There is not a pirate game on the Wii, the Switch, or the PlayStation 4 that's designed like that. That is a unique title. It absolutely is. You know, Crackdown, on the other hand, isn't unique in the title that it is because it's created by the original creator of Grand Theft Auto and the original team of the original Crackdown. But what it does do, if they get it right, is do the whole dynamic, do the whole destruction thing with cloud compute. And if they're able to do that and pull that off, they got it. I think they got a hit on their hands. So we'll have to see what happens with that, man. We really do. I'm not sure exactly, you know, how that game's going to turn out. Phil Spencer came out and said that it was the best Crackdown he's ever played. But that's what Phil's supposed to do. Phil is the head of Microsoft. He's not supposed to come out and say, oh, this game is terrible. You know, he's not supposed to say that. So him coming out and saying that this is the right thing, this is what he's supposed to do, is the smartest thing to do. And Sea of Thieves looks good. Of course, Phantom Dust remake, as well as the Voodoo Vince remake. We still have the indie titles in Cuphead, Ashen, Below. Hopefully, we get some of these games this year. I really am looking forward to those titles. I'm really excited about those indie games. And I know a lot of people aren't big into indie games, but there are some really hot classic indie games out there. You think about Ori and the Blind Forest, though, that's a first-party title. It was still made by an indie studio, a very small studio, though, backed by Microsoft. I loved Hyper Light Drifter. Great indie title. If you want to pick that up, definitely pick that up. And we got more coming. I got this interview coming up with Moon Studios, which was really great interview. I'm going to post that so you guys can see that. I thought that was an amazing thing as well. So definitely tune in this week for all of the content that I got coming from Tick Podcast. And I have a ton of episodes to upload to MP3 if you miss any of our previous episodes. So listen, man, I'm going to very quickly talk about Conan Exiles because I'm really hype up on this game as an Ark guy. I'm not sure it's going to do well. I was expecting it to come out. Like around what's the thing I'm looking for? Like January 31st, but that's the PC version. So now I have to wait for the Xbox version, which I'm not sure when that's supposed to come out. So it's kind of disappointing. But listen, I heard some great things about the game. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see more on it. It looks brutal. If you've played Ark and you love Ark, there's a possibility you may love this game. Just think of it like this. Instead of capturing dinosaurs and bringing them back to your base and, you know, using them for work or using them to do battle, you can actually capture people in the world. You can actually build an entire kingdom with NPCs that you capture and break on the wheel of pain and pretty much make them your slaves to do your bidding, which is pretty dope. You can have heroes in the world that you do battle with and knock them out and drag them back, and they become like your heroes and protect your base and fight for you and stuff like that. I think it's really, really cool, man. I think it's really, really cool. I'm just excited about what that's going to be like on Xbox, and that's coming to Xbox Early Access, the preview program. You know, a lot of people sleep on the preview program. There's a lot of good games on the preview program. I mean, we had Ark for an entire year before PlayStation got it, and it was really, really good. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Without question, should be a really fun game. And I will definitely keep you guys up to date on anything we got going on in the future. Make sure you head on over to TICGN.com. We are giving away an Xbox One S console in February. That's right around the corner. And we're giving away a Nintendo Switch console in March. So make sure you head on over to the website and sign up for those giveaways. Please give us a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. A thumbs up and a like. Go ahead and share that out to your friends. We appreciate the support and having the ability to share this show with many fans. We'd be very grateful for. And of course, make sure you hit up our forums. One of the things that we're doing, and I can't stress this enough, one of the things that we're doing now with the website is we're doing rewards for our members. I got a ton of stuff to give away, as well as you get a $20 gift card to the console of your choice. It all depends on what you're playing. If it's Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, we will give you a $20 credit, as well as one of our many extra prizes that you get to choose from. We have I don't even know. We have Persona bags. We got, video game T-shirts. I got a Bethesda shirt. We got Recore shirts, Dead Rising 4 socks. I got lanyards. So we just have a ton of stuff to give away to the fans on top of that $20 credit every month. So make sure you head on over to TICGN, leave comments. Make sure you leave a post in the post section, or join the forums, make a topic, get it buzzing, get the forums popping, and you could be a winner. So again, I want to thank everybody for stopping out tonight. I'm going to take a few questions. So please go ahead and start getting your questions ready. And in the end, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. You'll take what I said and rethink about some of the things that you heard today on the Digital Foundry, video, or Digital Foundry article, if you read that today about Xbox Scorpio, and rethink what Sea of Thieves may be like. Please head on over to the YouTube channel for Sea of Thieves. Have a look at it. I think it's going to be a really great game. I'm not going to say it's going to be a smashing hit, but based on what I'm seeing and based on what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's going to be a really good game. But you never know until a game release and is reviewed. So until then, it's really up in the air. But based on what I see, it looks really good. So definitely don't try to just shut it down before it releases. Give it a chance. I think it's really important people give it a chance. Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and end the show for the MP3 crowd. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm really grateful for the almost 42 people that showed up on this Wednesday morning at 12 a.m. And I hope that you guys show up next week. I'll be back next week, Wednesday. Wednesday. Which is mine. Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday or Friday. It all depends on what show it is. We have our new show, the Trophy Life Podcast, which is the new PlayStation podcast coming out in February, like the second week or the first week of February. So you guys will be able to get some PlayStation content for the PlayStation guys out there, with an entirely new team, entirely new content, and entirely new focus. Hopefully the PlayStation fans out there who like coming to the channel and checking out Tick and talking with us about Xbox or whatever will be entertained with something that interests them instead of just Xbox. So again, I'm your host, KLL, the last on the planet Xbox, and I'm off this planet. Peace. You sleep? No? Okay. All right, guys. Listen, I want to thank everybody for stopping in tonight. Very grateful for the support. Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and take a few questions. If anybody wants to ask me anything, I will definitely try to answer whatever I can. Again, grateful for everybody stopping out tonight. I saw a few questions in the chat. I wasn't able to answer during the show because when I do that, I kind of lose focus. And when I'm on a roll talking, I'm just on the roll. So, really, really appreciate that. Okay, so let's begin. Let's see here. Bill says, Kal-El, didn't Shannon Loftus say on Polygon that Phantom Dust Remastered is going to have original OG Xbox graphics with no HD up-res? That I haven't heard. I haven't heard that at all, actually. I would think that it would have that if you're going to remaster a game. I would definitely want it to be an HD remastered game with new texture. Like literally, they need to give it the Halo treatment. They have to. If you're not going to produce a new game, if you're going to cancel that game, then you need to give the remaster the Halo treatment. It needs to have new textures. It needs to be high def. It needs to be everything that the original was, but look a ton better. It really does. It has to. Let's see here. Foul Davikin. Was the show good? I would hope it was. J-Dub asks, what games will sell Scorpio the best? What game sells Xbox the best? That's all you have to ask. Whatever game sells Xbox sells Scorpio. I think people need to stop looking at Scorpio like it's not like the PS4 Pro. What sells PlayStation 4? Whatever sells PlayStation 4 is exactly what sells the PS4 Pro. And then whatever sells the Xbox One will be exactly what sells the Xbox One Scorpio. It's going to play the same games. There's nothing exclusive on that platform other than VR. That is the only thing that's exclusive on that platform currently. So I think that people should stop trying to find games that's going to sell a console when you have Crackdown, Sea of Thieves, there's Mass Effects, there's Red Dead Redemptions, all probably will run either at 4K or it's upscaled to 4K or whatever it is. But all the exclusives are supposed to be 4K, trying to hit 60 frames per second, as most of them are already 60 frames per second with open scaling. All the games scale. So, I'm hearing that this console, if it's true, it's supposed to be, I don't know what I think they said, like 4.5 times the power. So, I mean, that should be enough to get it to where it needs to go. You have the CPU power to get the 60 frames per second in locked. It's just all about what are they doing GPU wise, CPU wise. That's really what it comes down to. I think the console is highly capable and people are underestimating it now because of it. I don't want to overhype it, not to disappoint myself or to disappoint the fans, but I think people should really stop saying things like, well, what's going to sell the console? The console doesn't have to sell. I think that's what people tend to forget. The console is just a mid-generation upgrade. It's doing its job. If you want to upgrade to a premium device, you upgrade to that premium device. If you don't want to, then you don't. They're not going to talk about the Xbox One Scorpio like it's a separate console. They're going to be like, we sold X amount of Xboxes. You know what was in there? Xbox One S, Xbox One OG, Xbox One, and Scorpio. They will all be the same sales, just like they do with PS4 and PS4 Pro. They're not in the PS4 Slim. They're not going to tell you which one sold what. They're just going to tell you this is what sold. Now, a lot of people are disappointed with PS4 Pro sales this holiday, selling, I think, 200,000. And I definitely expected more. I love the console, actually. Big shout out to J-Dub, actually, who's in the chat. Everybody, give J-W a shout out, man. My man hooked me up. He I believe that's him, based on the name. He hooked me up with a PS4 Pro. I'm very grateful for that. It's a really good console. I do give it its props. It's a really good console. Although the thumbsticks are horrendous, I want to change out the thumbsticks as soon as possible, or get one of those things where I can use my Xbox One controller. Not a fan of the PS4 controller, but it is a really good console. I do love the store. Actually, the store is really good, but still, nonetheless. So I think that people shouldn't worry about that. Give me 1 second. I need to scroll back. I missed a few questions. You guys are talking a lot in here, man. All right. Okay. Tokos asks, Cal, are you interested in For Honor? I just got in the beta. I am. I like what I like about it is that it reminds me of Bushido Blade. When you fight one-on-one, if anybody remembers Bushido Blade, it was one of those games where you could attack a limb and render a person almost entirely helpless to fight. I don't understand why they don't make more games like that. I think there's a lot of strategy involved in trying to battle somebody in a way with swords that you could lose a limb or you could break a bone. There was a fighting game like that on the original Xbox called, oh my God, what was it called? I don't remember. I don't remember the name of the game. There was a fighting game like that where, and it wasn't a good fighting game, but the concept was amazing. And when you got into a fight with somebody, you could break someone's limb and render them useless. Like you could render the leg useless and they would limp, or you would render one of their arms useless and they could no longer use it and had to fight handicapped. Dope. They should really make more games like that. And For Honor reminds me of that in a way where you're fighting one-on-one, but it feels like a real battle one-on-one. Like you're trying to anticipate what the other person's going to do. You can parry, you can then counterattack. Like there's a lot involved, and each character has their own strategic way of fighting. So, and I'm a big Japanese guy, so you know I'm going to go with the Samurai Clan right off the back if I get the game. So I'm definitely excited for it. But one thing I don't like, I hate Dynasty Warrior type games. I hate them. Just all these soldiers on screen and you all hit them at the same time and they all do the same animation. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So that's one thing I'm not a fan of. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Drop D Unchained asks, how would you feel about a sandbox Donkey Kong using Super Mario Odyssey graphics for Switch? A glance back at Donkey Kong 64's gameplay, but with the flourishing visuals. Listen, I was blown away with Mario Odyssey. I don't know why people are either turned off by it or wasn't impressed with it. That thing blew me away. It was one of the reasons why I immediately wanted to switch. I wanted to switch for that. I wanted to switch for all those JRPGs. And even the ARMS game looks really fun because it reminded me of a knockoff of Power Stone, just an arena fighter moving around the arena and dodging and moving forward, except you just didn't transform and do crazy attacks. But I thought that the game looked really good and it looked fun. What I liked about what Nintendo showed me was that everything looked fun and it didn't look kiddie to the point to where it was like, oh my God, I can't play none of these games because it's too childish. It felt like they were trying to step up with the JRPGs, which is what I like. And the new Mario wasn't a side scroller. You know, it wasn't the same old rinky-dink thing that we always get. It was something different, and I was impressed by it, and that's why I wanted to get a Switch initially. Then they start talking about the online, the pricing, the accessories, not being able to recharge the controller out of the box. It's like you're putting all the costs into everything else and not the console, and it's an absolute turnoff. And then you think about the long-term future of the console. How long does it last? You know, you already had the guy from Respawn talk about the Titanfall not being able to be played on it because it's just weak. The console is weak. Now it's weak. So you're talking about games going to 4K on Pro and Xbox Scorpio, and Switch is going to be able to compete with that? They're back in the same boat. And in 3 or 4 years, if Switch isn't selling because it's a hybrid handheld, which honestly, you're still pushing the DS, which is still going to outsell it, still has a longer battery life than it being a handheld, it fails in that regard. It fails as a handheld. So I don't see how, unless they just come out with an amazing collection of first-party games and new IPs, I just don't see how they can sustain it. The initial impact, yes, because it's new, it's fresh, it's not the Wii U, it's like back to basics. I just don't know if they can keep it going long term. The less third party support they get as people start to move into the next set of graphic fidelity games. Chaotic Panther asks, do you think Phantom Dust is still at work or just the remake? Well, apparently, thanks to our interview with Ken Law, Phantom Dust got canceled. True story. Not even lying. Look it up on Kotaku. But at the same time, they are supposedly coming out with a remake. The guys in the chat just said that they aren't even giving it new textures. They're just retooling it, which to me is just it's just insane to do. If you're going to remaster something, remaster it right. I feel like it's a lazy attempt to tide fans over. Why do that? To try to rush out the product. Don't do that. That's what happened with Recore. Make the game right, make the game appealing. You got one shot. This is a unique title. You're talking about battle cards giving you certain skills. This is the unique title. You got one shot to grab the Xbox fans. And if you mess this up, you will not be able to recover with another game. You will not. Microsoft, you know, you got to treat Microsoft different. You just have to. That's just the way it is. Like, I don't want it to be that way, but the reality of it is that's the way it is. Microsoft is just held to a double standard. They don't appeal around the world. They don't do great marketing around the world. but they have to be able to really, whatever they drop, they got to start hitting it out the park. And Phantom Dust needs to be one of the games they hit out the park, and they need to hit it out the park right the first time. Oh, I jumped too far down. You guys are having a big conversation in the chat. All right, here we go. Uh Tamang Fu asks, what's your most anticipated game for Xbox One and PS4 Pro? Also, you should definitely get I Am Setsuna when it goes on sale next time. I'm definitely interested in I Am Setsuna. I got a chance to watch the preview video and it was pretty dope. Um, I don't know why I didn't pick it up initially. I guess I have so many games on Xbox and it's weird because I looked at all of them. That flash sale was insane. You understand how you understand how hard it was for me not to buy a ton of games on that flash sale? Microsoft needs to get flash sales. That was insane. That was pretty dope. Um, but I have so many games on Xbox. I'm so behind on Xbox games. I didn't want to stack up with because right now I have Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate Edition, The Last of Us, which I haven't even started yet. I want to start the game, but I just know I don't want to start it yet because once I start it, I want to be into it. And right now, my mindset is not ready for that game. And I have Dust, an Elysian Tale, which is actually very fun and really cool. And I'm playing Final Fantasy 15 on Xbox One, Watch Dogs 2 on Xbox One, and I've gotten back into Ark now that I found a dedicated crew, which I'm very excited about, which is pretty cool. So I've been playing those games recently, as well as working on TICGN.com, which takes up a lot of my time, and the baby, which she's about to fall asleep, thank God. I must be boring her to death. But my most anticipated games for Xbox One right now, oh man, it's probably got to be Sea of Thieves right now. Sea of Thieves looks like the most unique title that they have currently. And I want to name myself Lenny D. Luffy. I have to I have to name myself Lenny D. Luffy. That's going to be my name. I don't care how I got to make the Straw Hat Pirates is going to happen. If you don't know who the Straw Hat Pirates are, you need to watch anime and watch One Piece, and so you understand where I'm getting the name from. On PlayStation, definitely Horizon Zero Dawn. Now I heard some great things about Yakuza, and as a Shenmue fan, I want to pick up Yakuza, but I can't pick it up because I want to get Horizon Zero Dawn, and I got a 4-month-old. Money's tight. I can't just be blowing money left and right. So I'm definitely going to pick up Yakuza Zero at some point. I heard it's a great game. But Horizon Zero Dawn is what I really want to get a PS4 for. So I'm definitely going to pick that up. That's my most anticipated right now. Caution Q asks, do you think Microsoft will make Xbox Live free since Phil wants to bring consoles and PC together for people that do not pay, throw ads on their home console? Absolutely not. Nope. I don't think people understand how much money Xbox Lives make Microsoft. Like if an Xbox game doesn't sell well on Xbox Live alone makes Microsoft almost 3 billion a year. 3 billion. Now they're saying they got like 45 million Xbox Live subscribers. I'm not sure if that's all the people, but it just I just really think that. Hold on one second, guys. Apologies. So, yeah, man. I lost my thought real quick. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second to see where I was at. Yeah, I don't think Xbox Live will ever go free. They just make too much money on Live, man. They make billions on it. And I just don't see how Microsoft would just abandon Xbox Live for PC. You can't sell Xbox games to PC gamers and put it behind a paywall because Steam is not behind a paywall and PC gamers are used to not having a paywall. So because of that, there's no possible way you can expect them to ever put Live up and make people pay for it. And adding ads already would be in a disaster considering 360 had ads and that's all people complained about. Surprisingly, PlayStation 4 has ads as well. I don't know why people act like PlayStation 4 doesn't have ads, but as a newly gamer with a PS4 Pro, a PS4 Pro owner, I've noticed there's a lot of ads on the PlayStation 4, especially in the store section, which was weird to me. I think they even have like an entire Subway video section or something like that. I don't know what it is, just weird. But yeah, I mean, I don't see putting a bunch of ads out there like it's some type of free to play thing would be a terrible idea. Live is what it is. The Xbox console fans are the backbone of it. That's why I don't think Microsoft is getting out of the console selling business, because without that, then you rely on PC and then you have to rely on selling games. And if your games don't sell, guess what? You have no other income coming in. You don't. So for all the people out there who think Microsoft is done with consoles and this is their last one, they're not. It's not going to be their last one. There's going to be some device, whether it's a streaming device or some sort of box that will be called an Xbox, and it will be either a hybrid PC. It can be a PC with a console covering, whatever it is. It will be an Xbox, and it will be Xbox Live capable and ready. And you just sign in, and everything will be attached to it. So yeah, they're not going out of business anytime soon, and I don't see them dropping Live and making it free as much as we would want to. It's not going to happen. But they could do is give better incentive. Maybe make Live $99 and give you, free movie rentals once a week, and the music service for free. You get Xbox Live, you get the games with gold, deals with gold, you get music for free, and one movie rental from the Xbox store, from Xbox Video, Microsoft Videos for free a week. I think that'd be a great incentive, or close to it anyway. Let's see. What happened now? Oh man, my bad. Give me 1 second. The curse of Kinlop. JW says, Cal, do you think Microsoft need to have an event for Scorpio before E3? Absolutely. Can't stress it enough. I really think they do. Fallout Boy says, theoretically, Switch will have more first-party support than 3DS. So when they inevitably drop the price, should it do just as good as the 3DS? No, for a number of reasons. 3DS has amazing third-party support, especially when it comes to like smaller titles or smaller games. Also, 3DS is a true handheld, which has longer battery life. The ecosystem for it is way more well built. With Switch, they're talking about talking on a phone app. Just like, I don't think people understand. Like, to me, Nintendo is stuck in 2005 when it comes to their online devices and services, while everybody else is moving into, online streaming, cloud technology, 4K resolution. It's like Nintendo is stuck in 2005 with their way of doing things. I'm not sure if it's the people in charge or they still trying to hold on to the nostalgia of the Wii or the N64 or the SNES or the Nintendo console. Whatever they're doing, first party game wise, I have nothing to say about. But whatever they're doing console wise, when it comes to their online infrastructure, when it comes to these things, they are doing it all wrong. And this is why they can't be taken seriously. And it comes to that aspect, and why people will always choose PSN on Xbox Live over the Switch when it comes to multiplayer games. No one's going to buy a Switch for the Call of Duties or the Halos or the Battlefields or the Titanfalls or the Killzones or whatever other multiplayer games that we play. No one's going to buy it for that. People will get Mario Kart. Absolutely. People will get Smash Bros in their own right. And if those are online capable, people will play it. I just don't know how that translates long term when the games that sell the most and sell the most consoles is actually third party. And it's the truth. It really is the truth. I think people tend to forget that. You can have all the exclusives in the world, but if games run better third party wise on your console, for some apparent reason, people just gravitate towards the third party games. I mean, first party makes sure your console unique. It gives it an identity. There's only games you can get on that platform. At the same time, people want the most bang for their buck. And if they can get the best quality console or the best machine out there at the right price, then they'll pay for it. And that's a lot. That's something that I've learned over the years as well. And that says a lot. It really does. Trying to finish up here. D21 exclusives asks, any news on Jet Force Gemini? Many people forget that it was trademarked last year. No news at all. My baby's sleeping. I wouldn't be surprised if I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they showed it off at E3 as a surprise. It's a strong possibility, but I think the trademarking for it is so sudden. It's very sudden, but it would be great if they did. If it was a new IP and not a new IP, but a rebooted IP, really cool graphics or something, I would be impressed and I would be happy if they did that, because it's something that Microsoft needs to do. I can't stress enough. Rare has so many IPs. Microsoft owns so many IPs. People just have no idea how many games they actually have. Okay. Yes, Lenny D. Luffy, bro. I need a Sanji and a Zoro ASAP for my pirate ship. Other Zinc, most anticipated Halo Wars 2 and Forza Motorsport 7. I know, Zinc. Die hard for life, bro. I feel you. I got you. I never forget. My man cursed me out the day I said 343 should make a new IP. My man was like, what? Take away. Stop making Halos for another game? Have you lost your mind? He said, I got to contact Phil. I got to make sure Phil stop talking to you. My man wants a Halo every year. He don't care what Microsoft do as long as they keep producing Halos yearly, man. I'm just saying, bro. I just think they need to rotate it. That's all I'm saying, man. I still think they need to rotate it, bro. It would be great if they had another IP, man. I'm telling you. Be great. 343 had their own game. Would be really dope. Just funny stuff. It's only a piece of plastic. I thought that was actually a comment. That's his name. He says, Tick, do you still want to see crossplay on all platforms, Xbox One, PC, PS4? Hell yeah. I would love this. I would love to get that. I don't know about PC. It depends on what the game is, because mouse and keyboard. We already know how that is. But PlayStation and Xbox, what? Do you know the rivalries that would go down? All the crap talking that would get shut down? Yo, see me on the box, bro. You talk on that smack. You got Madden? You got 2K? You got COD? You got Battlefield? All right. Like, see me on the box, bro. It'd be a wrap. It would be a wrap, bro. Like, absolutely. There'd be no way. It would everything would be settled on Xbox and PlayStation if they did that. But then it gets kind of hazy, because then it's like, I don't know, man. It's crazy. It gets crazy because then it's like, you'll never be without your friends. You can always play with them. And I think it would stop a lot of the fanboy stuff that goes on. I think people still would choose their sides, but then it's like, if PSN and Xbox has some type of server or there were games where they all played together, a lot of games where we all played together all the time, it would stop a lot of the fanboy stuff. It's the segregation, bro. The segregation is what's hurting the gaming community. Just like it hurt America back in the day. You know, we're all better when we're together as one. It really is the truth. And that's just from a world point of view. When we're all together as one people, man, we're at our best. When we're at our odds, we're at our worst. I think that's really what it is. Don't get me wrong. I'm still an Xbox fan first and foremost, but I don't hate PlayStation at all. I really don't. And I respect everybody who likes PlayStation. I don't have anything against that. I just think that, in my opinion, I like Xbox better. That's it. Oh man, I gotta finish up, man. You guys are going crazy tonight. Wow, let me see. For my wife's, for my daughter start going crazy. Kelvin Brandon says, do you get a chance? Did I get a chance to read the article on what the Ori and the Blind Forest devs say? Shout out to Xbox One Scorpio. I did. I can't pull it up right now. That might slow down my laptop. One of the Ori and the Blind Forest dev, I can't remember his name. He stated that the Xbox One, in his opinion, is a next generation console that just plays all the games that's backwards compatible. Now, to me, what he just said contradicts everything Digital Foundry said today. When an Xbox dev, and that dev is from Moon Studios, the creators of Ori and the Blind Forest. Okay. All right. Ori and the Blind Forest. When you have a developer come out and say that says a lot. That means that he's had the hardware. He knows what it looks like. When the guys over at 343 said that they saw the hardware and it was beefier than they expected, that says a lot. I don't know what Digital Foundry is talking about, but whatever they're talking about, nonsense at this point. Wouldn't believe a damn thing they say. Okay, that's a good one. Mr. Rayno Tank says, Cal, what 3 Microsoft-owned IPs would you like to return? Which ones do you also think are most likely to return? Man. The 3 IPs I would like for them to return. What's crazy is that the 3 IPs I want them to return, they don't own. That's the crazy thing about it. They don't own them. I want a new KOTOR. I want a new Jade Empire because I'm a big BioWare fan. But I think a new Perfect Dark would be one. Crimson Skies. Absolutely. I loved Crimson Skies. That was a great game. I wasn't a fan of Mech Assault, though. I don't know what it was about the game. I just didn't like it. I didn't like Mech Assault. But Crimson Skies was an amazing game to me. Crimson Skies, Perfect Dark, a new Perfect Dark would be amazing. And a platformer. It would have to either be Cameo, because I really loved Cameo on 360, or Conquer. I never played Conquer, but I would like a Conquer that was something that was still a little bit more mature, because I like comedy, and I thought Conquer was very funny, and everything that they do in the game is like British humor, and I find British humor kind of funny. I actually find Japanese humor hilarious. Anime humor is so freaking funny, bro. It's ridiculous. It really is. But yeah, those three would be something I think that they should bring back and would do big. I mean, honestly, Mech Assault would be huge if they brought it back. A lot of fans are clamoring for it. But yeah, Mech Assault, Crimson Skies are big titles that a lot of people want back. They definitely need to reboot those and bring those back. Oh man, let's see. Fallout Boys, Kyle, if Scorpio goes over lukewarm like PS4 Pro, is Microsoft done? Scorpio seems like do or die for Microsoft. It's not. Why do people keep saying that? It's an Xbox. Whether it sells or not is not relevant. Or their games are on PC, or their games are on Xbox. It's just a premium console. That's all it is. You know how phones come out with the Galaxy S? Like you got the Galaxy 7. Then you got the Galaxy S7 Reflex and the Galaxy S7 Edge. That's exactly what the P. That's exactly what the Pro is, except the R&D for it is like high as hell because they put new parts in it. But that's what it is. It's just a premium Xbox One, you know. And if it doesn't sell well, it doesn't sell well. But I don't think Microsoft lose sleep over it. In 3 years, they'll make another device. People tend to forget Microsoft's not bowing out. They still make money. Xbox Live, digital services, you know, everything that they sell online, whether it's games, whether it's out of their store, they get a piece of that profit. That's money in the bank. I don't know why people think Microsoft don't make money. Consoles don't make money. They just don't. It takes years for a console to recoup funds after you've spent all this money building it. So consoles don't make a lot of money. The money's in software. Everything's in software. That's why Microsoft put their games on PC. That's why you have PlayStation put in PS now. Is it PS Now? Yeah, PS Now on PC. So they can get those PC sales as well when it comes to people renting their games on, you know, the PC, the PS3 games and stuff like that, the old school games as well. So you know, it's really important that I think people get perspective on certain things. Microsoft's not bowing out this race. If they do, I don't see a lot of fans sticking with them, honestly, because a lot of their fans are console gamers, and I don't see. I think it'll be a huge betrayal, but I just doubt it. I just doubt it. It is the Storm Show. It is the Storm Show. For those who don't know, my daughter's name is Lana, but her middle name is Storm, after the X-Men character Storm. And my son's name is Kal-El. Yes, I named my children after superheroes. I am going to build a new X-Men Justice League as soon as I have a third kid. All right, so I'm going to finish up, man. It's really getting late. My daughter's going to go ham any minute. So I'm going to answer one more question, and then I'm going to head out of here. So let's see what we got. Let me see. Well, I guess that's it. Yeah, shout out to Edge Excel. For people who don't know who Edge Excel is, that is our head editor in chief over at ticgn.com. Give him a shout out. He's done a wonderful job building that site, building an amazing team of writers over there. A lot of people don't realize the quality of writing that TICGN has. Great job, Chico. Really appreciate you and all your support. End of the day, man, one of the things he states is absolutely true. A lot of people don't realize that second place is not failure in business. Third place is not either. Just because you're last in the console sales doesn't mean that your console is not a success. You still make money on whatever you sell, and you don't go out of business. Unless your console is in the red, unless your division is in the red, it's not a failure. And that's why these consoles keep coming out and why Microsoft will continue to produce consoles, because there's 26, 30 million people out there that buy their products, buy their games, and use their Xbox Live service and pays $60 for the year to use it, and whatever else services that they use on Xbox. So, I mean, it says a lot. I don't think Microsoft is bowing out of this business. I think they've had a rough generation, absolutely, without question. They've had a really rough generation after having probably their most successful generation ever. I don't know if Scorpio will be able to turn around what they've already begun, and I would hope people don't expect that to happen. What I do hope is that it will put a more positive light on the future of Xbox as they start to transition into adding games via BC, building people's libraries, making people recognize that there is a positive behind picking up games digitally. You're able to pick up, build your library probably by the second or third iteration of Xbox. After Xbox One, you can have a library with over 1,000 games that just comes with you. Whereas PlayStation 4, for the foreseeable future, is not something I see them doing. I see them adding those PS4 games that you own to PS Now and building that service, building that streaming service. Whether you own your games or not, maybe they'll allow you to keep the games that you own digitally in the future while still maintaining that service. But it's not something that I see because they haven't done it now with PS3. Maybe it could be an architecture reason. It could be a number of reasons. I don't know. But I like the direction Microsoft is going, allowing us to keep games, whether they're BC or not. Great games are great games. You look at how Black Ops 3 sold almost 1,000%. Lost Odyssey sold over like 1,000% when they got reintroduced to BC. Red Dead shot up. It reinvigorated these games because people love playing games on the same devices. Look at the NES console. The nostalgia factor of that skyrocketed for Nintendo. That damn thing sold more. I think that thing sold more than almost, I don't know, whatever they put out recently, something they put out recently, but that thing sold like crazy. It's insane that people wanted the NES Mini when you can get every single one of those games on a PC for free with ROMs. Just goes to show you, man, nostalgia plays a large factor in a lot of things. So definitely important that Microsoft keeps their focus and people look at what they're doing right and stop looking for what they're doing wrong. And also to remember that there are different teams that runs Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Microsoft isn't the same Microsoft it was under Ballmer and Matrick. There's a new team in place, and just because the name Microsoft is synonymous with negative things, it doesn't mean the team that's running it is going to do the same things. So I would hope people give it a different perspective and a better opportunity to learn about the console, what it can do, and we just have to wait to E3 or whatever Microsoft does in the future before we can truly judge what Microsoft's 2017 is going to be like. We have 11 months. To call the platform dead because it lost one exclusive is asinine. So, don't do that to yourself, okay? Don't do it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because then you'll wind up being somebody I have to save, like I always do. These fanboys out here losing their minds over the dumbest things. So anyway, man, that's it for the show. My daughter body temperature is on 1,000. I am so hot right now. I don't know why babies are hot, but I am super hot right now. But I definitely will be back next week, man. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and supporting the podcast and having conversation with me, allow me to answer questions. Very grateful for the support. I'll be back next week once again on Wednesday night, more than likely, to talk more games and more Scorpio if there's Scorpio news. Again, I'm your host, KLL, the last son of planet Xbox. I'm off this planet. Thank you all. Have a great night.